Rev up your engines!
Well, Tesla now has its own lane for border crossing on the Texas-Mexico border. This isn't for people driving Tesla cars. It's for the trucks that bring parts, because he makes parts in Mexico too. Don't think he's not trying to cut his costs. One of their lanes says Tesla, because they don't want to slow down the production of Tesla. Now, you wonder, why are they doing such things? Well, it turns out that he might build a factory in Mexico too, in which case, of course, the Mexicans are going to be happy. They're going to be getting jobs that they didn't have before. Now, the wait times can be as much as half an hour there at the border crossing and crowded time, so they have a lane just for the Tesla supplying trucks. So the Tesla suppliers can get over in just 10 minutes. Let's just hope the Elon isn't bringing something else over from Mexico to Texas. That's what those border crossings are there to stop. Now, this is the only crossing point there. They certainly give Tesla special treatment. Don't think if you drive it over, that's for your Tesla car. It's not. It's for the Tesla business trucks that are bringing parts so they can build them in Austin and get the parts there faster. CT23 says, what is your advice on a car that's been burned through a fire? I bought an 07 Civic with 116,000 miles. It caught fire and the hood melted, so there's no rust. It also burnt the AC hose. I added the bumper, hood, grill, AC lines, fenders, cable. Is there anything else I should do? Well, I feel sorry for you for one main reason. Modern cars have so much computer wiring and stuff in them, it would make your head spin. Now, back in '66, let's see, you got a Mustang that went on fire. Maybe not that bad of an idea. It had a carburetor, it had a mechanical fuel pump. There weren't that many electronic parts. The problem with modern cars is not only do they have a lot of wiring, but they have a lot of different computer modules. Some have as many as 95 separate computer modules. That stuff, if you had a fire, it could have shorted them out, ruined it, it could have feedback, could have shorted out the main computer. There's so many things that could go wrong with a vehicle that's been in a fire. Now, good luck, but when there's a fire, the wires melt, and guess what happens? The electricity starts shorting out everywhere. It's just like I would never buy a car that was flooded in salt water, because the salt water conducts electricity a lot better than regular water, and it will short absolutely everything out in the vehicle. So, good luck with it. But I would have never bought that car in the first place. If it was a really old one, yeah, but not a modern one. Too many computer parts that can be destroyed in a fire as the wires melt and then the electricity shorts everything out all over the place. Cars 2018 says, for my first car at 20, should I get a 2013 Dodge Dart with 64,000 miles for $10,999 with no accidents? Should I get a Honda Civic hatchback? Get a Honda Civic hatchback. That Dodge Dart is nothing but a Fiat in wolf's clothing. They were absolute garbage. Notice they don't make them anymore. That's kind of a big clue. Civics are probably one of the best vehicles ever made. Between the Civic and the Toyota Corolla, I would say for smaller cars, those are the best two in the world ever made. The Dart, pile of junk with Italian crap in it, and they don't make them anymore. So, listen to me. I've been working on cars almost 3 times as long as you've been alive. Get the Civic. You'll be happy with it. They're great vehicles. The hatchback's got all kinds of space and room. Do not buy that Dodge, really Fiat. It has nothing to do with the Dodge Darts they used to make that were economy cars, and some guys would have V8 engines. They were screaming cars. Do not buy it. Believe me. Dino 1956 says, I got a 2008 Mazda MX-5. It has a whirring sound only at 50 miles an hour when I accelerate. Goes away at other speeds. Now I'm going 50 in any gear. I can still hear the whirring sound. It doesn't matter what gear you're in. That tells me it's not any individual gear, because if it was 5th gear, but it still did it in 3rd gear, no. So, you have some problem that doesn't have to do with RPMs. The only thing that's going to be the same is the differential in the bearings. They're spinning, when you're going a certain speed, the differential that sends power to the wheels is going to be spinning at the same RPMs when you're in gear, because the wheels are spinning at that speed. It's got to be something in the differential of the wheels. Now watch my video, Finding the Source of Car Noise of Scotty. Watch that on YouTube. And you'll see with one of these listening devices, it's easy to figure out, come with 8 little clips. You put the clips on different parts, Put one on a differential, put one on the wheels. If the noise sounds louder at the differential, it's the differential. If it's at the wheel, it's the wheel bearing starting to go out. That's how you pinpoint the noise. Matthew Parkerson says, what can cause my ignition to not allow me to turn the key to start? A lot of times I have to wiggle the steering wheel and then turn the key and then it starts. Unfortunately, it's probably your locking mechanism and your steering column starting to break down, and they can cost a small fortune to fix. They can be a real pain in the butt, because then when you start replacing parts in there, usually the anti-theft system is going to have to be reprogrammed, because you're going to have to get different parts that work with the anti-theft system. But this could be a very cheap fix. As I always tell people, have at least two known good keys. One you start the car, and the other one, throw it in your drawer. And a drawer, you remember where you put it. Unlike me, that I often forget which drawer it's in. But be that as it may, if you have another key and it works smoothly, it means your original key is wearing out. In which case, take the key that doesn't work right, put it away, get your good key that works. With that good key, drive to the nearest locksmith and have another key made so you have another spare. To kind of keep this from happening in the first place, you get the modern WD-40 that has the new formula and spray the key in the lock every once in a while, and that will keep the key from wearing out prematurely, because a little bit of lubrication can keep it going. But don't use like some guys, oh, I put powdered graphite, that's great. No, don't ever do that in an ignition key, because the powdered graphite will build up inside the lock, and then eventually the key won't even go in the whole way and it won't turn ever. The WD-40 is really good for that. You don't want any type of solid lubrication, because it will end up jamming the lock up. I was warned that years ago by an old locksmith, and man, that guy knew what he was talking about. The Quack from Coaster channel says, my sister's thinking about getting a used Toyota Highlander. She got a V6 or a 4. Well, with that particular car, I would definitely say V6, because they last longer. And they're a pretty heavy vehicle with a 4-cylinder engine, and the gas mileage isn't much worse than the 6, because the 6 isn't strained and the 4 is carrying all that weight. All the ones that I saw that had 4, 5, 600,000 miles on it were V6s. The ones that were 4s, they'd get 2 something on it and they'd start to wear out a little, because it's a bigger strain on a smaller engine. So I would go V6 on that thing. Hi, hello, says Scotty. My Camry only blows hot air when the car's moving. If I stop, it'll blow cool air, even though the temperature says it's operating. What's causing this? You say your temperature is at your operating temperature. So if it's in the middle of the gauge, then it's not the thermostat. Because if your thermostat is stuck open and you're not getting heat, your temperature would go way down, because it wouldn't warm up enough. The thermostat's supposed to let it warm up. So you don't have a bad thermostat. I can just about guarantee you from my experience of those things, your heater core is clogged up. Because when you go faster, the engine's spinning faster, the water pump is spinning faster, which means it's pumping more water, and that faster speed water can be pushed better through a clogged heater core. So what you'd want to do is flush it out. I got a video on flushing out a heater core. Watch that. And then when you're done and you refill it, make sure you get all the air out of the system. Because sometimes even if you just have a little bit of air, it'll do that. So flush it out and then burp the air out, and it'll probably work perfectly fine. If it doesn't, then you're going to have to replace the heater core. Sometimes they get clogged up enough that they just never will work correctly, because they got tiny little holes in them. And if they clog up enough, they'll never work right at low speed. All right, this may not be car related, but it's money and energy related, so I'm going to talk about it. Do not shut the air conditioner off in your house to save money on electricity unless you want to live in a hot house. If you turn it off permanently, sure, you'll save money. You'll be sweating, but you'll save a lot of money, right? You don't want to turn it off. Some people, well, I'll turn it off when I'm not in there, then I'll turn it on. You'll actually waste more money turning it off. The house gets really hot. When you turn it back on, it's got to cool it right down. You'll spend more money in electricity. I know that because I lived in Houston, Texas for 43 years. I know what heat is with an air-conditioned house. House air conditioning isn't like car air conditioning. House air conditioning takes a while to cool it down. It only makes it go a few degrees cooler. Now cars, yeah, they're in the hot sun. You turn them on, they blow cold air real fast, and they're much less efficient than the house ones are. But you really don't care, because you want the car cooled down fast. And sun's coming in all the time. And of course, you shut the car off, so it's got to go from 0 to cold pretty fast. Houses are made to cool over time. If, let's say, you want to save a tiny amount of money, you go out in the daytime, you might turn the thermostat up, 5, 8 degrees or whatever. So it's a little warmer inside in the day when you don't need it if you're not in the house, and then cool it down at night. That's perfectly fine, but you do not want to shut it off. That's not how house air conditioners work. You'll actually end up spending more money having to cool down the hot house again, and of course you won't be as comfortable because it takes a while to cool a house down with air conditioning. It can be 100 degrees outside, and if you got a good air conditioner like in my Toyotas, you turn it on and in 5 minutes that baby could be putting out 45-degree air. Houses don't get that cold that fast. Don't turn your house air conditioning completely off if you're going to turn it back on later, because you'll end up spending more money cooling it down. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.